My name is not on that, but that's cool. It's fine. I am the Senior Director of Health and Wellness at the National Down Syndrome Society. And my colleague Amanda is going to present after and talk a little bit more about NDSS. We've messed up the whole order of everything today. But so we'll learn about NDSS in a little bit. In the meantime, I'll let Monica. Oh, I also have a 5-year-old with Down syndrome. She has T21, but she's adorable. And I just always say to the moms of older kids, thank you for everything that you've done to help pave the way to make my journey a little easier. I do appreciate it. And I'll let Monica.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Monica Forquer, and I'm a consultant with National Down Syndrome Society. I'm also a candidate for the doctoral program in public health. And so my background is in developing programs, wellness programs for people with intellectual disabilities more broadly. And so today we're going to talk to you a little bit about the program that we have. But before I do, I'll turn it back over to Margot, who's going to talk to you a little bit about quality of life.
So we've talked a lot in the community in the past couple years about how the life expectancy of people with Down syndrome has increased tremendously from the 80s, which is amazing. It's great. We all want to, aging is awesome, right? Like that is what we want in life. But we want those years to have a quality of life, right? We want them to be good years. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about what that means. So I wanted to do a little bit of polling, and you can just shout out, what do you think quality of life means? What does it mean to you? Besides financial stuff that Kelly talked about. Health? Happiness? Work? Yeah. Yeah. Having purpose, work, happiness, health. Sorry, say again. Community. Yeah, there's some assistance up here. But we looked at definitions, and this is the shortest one we could find for quality of life. But it's a concept that aims to capture well-being regarding both positive and negative elements within the entirety of one's existence at a specific point in time. And it means all the things, right? It means good health. It means education. It means relationships. It means employment. It's in leisure, right? Quality of life touches every single point of these. We can share the slides. So you're welcome to take pictures, but we will also share everything with you. But it's all of these things, right? We want a well-rounded life, has a lot of these aspects in it. And it also means that we have intentionally paid attention to these aspects and how we're going to approach these aspects of our life. So we know within health in general, people with Down syndrome are 2 to 3 times more likely to be overweight or obese. We know they're 2 times more likely to have diabetes. We know they're at a higher risk for mental health difficulties, and they're 90% lifetime risk for Alzheimer's. That is for T21, the mosaic. I just have to add the caveat that I'm not a doctor. The mosaic risk may be a little different, but we know, right? We know these things about health that happen to our loved ones with Down syndrome. We also know in employment, people with Down syndrome typically do not have desk jobs. They typically have jobs in which they're interacting with customers, they're on their feet, they are walking around, they're carrying things, they're doing things. That means that you have to have a certain level of physical fitness in order to do that. It is hard to stand on your feet all day. You haven't done it in a while, just try it, right? Get a standing desk. It's hard. It's also when you interact with customers or you interact with people, at some point during the day, somebody is going to say something to you you don't like. They may say something mean, it may be intentional, it may be unintentional. You have to know how to respond to that. What is the appropriate response, especially if it's a customer or your boss, right? How do you respond to that in a way that you maintain your employment? And that also you can recover at some point in time from that interaction. We all have negative interactions in our lives. They're not great. We don't love them. But we need a skill set to know what to do with that, how to cope in the moment, how to cope later in the day, and then how to cope however long it takes us to cope with it. You need a skill set to do that. Also social skills, right? We need to know how to interact with each other at our jobs. Nobody has a job in a bubble in which they don't talk to anybody. Just a couple examples. Relationships is another one, right? When a lot of times when people say the word relationships, they think about girlfriend, boyfriends, which is great, right? Romantic relationships are great. We want our loved ones to have romantic relationships if they want, but also relationships means friendships. It means coworkers. It means the people in school with you. What do you call it? Peers. Yes, thank you. Your peers, right? All of those things are also relationships is how you interact with strangers. So relationships is just how you interact with anybody in your life. So strangers are relationships, friends are relationships, romantic relationships, siblings, right? How, as my colleague just did a presentation last week about how to be a good sibling for the person with Down syndrome, right? How can you be a good sibling to your sibling that doesn't have Down syndrome? And so those are all, and parents, right? We all have, we all love our children, but sometimes they're not nice to us. So how can we help them improve those relationships? But it requires social skills and it requires emotional regulation. This is when I turn it to you, right?
Yeah, that's fine. So, as Margot was talking, you can kind of think about all of the healthy habits that we need to do and we need to learn throughout our life in order to be able to have that good quality of life. Being physically active really, affects how you can do your job on a daily basis. It affects your energy levels throughout the day, all of those things. So if you have a life that's full of physical activity, it will help you to have better quality of life in those aspects. If you eat the right foods throughout the day, again, you have the same energy level to keep you going through that. You can focus better in school. You can focus better when you're working, all of those kind of aspects. And similarly, if you have some of those emotional regulation skills and you can do that, you can cope better with the situations that you're experiencing throughout your life. And so what we do know is a lot about health behaviors more generally for people with Down syndrome. So physical activity, people with Down syndrome are about half as likely to meet the physical activity requirements as people in the general public. So that's one area of health that we know a lot about. Dietary habits, we know less about that in terms of the research world, but we do know that dietary habits are typically poorer for people with Down syndrome. They are less likely to meet the recommendations for fruits and vegetables, and on average are more likely to eat things like sweet and snack-like foods, processed foods, things like that. Sleep behaviors, of course, there's a lot that goes along with sleep. We know sleep apnea is pretty large in this community. But in addition to that, there are also some behavioral factors like not going to bed on time that are really prominent in this community. Also, in terms of emotional regulation and coping skills, we know that people with Down syndrome are often more likely to use more avoidant coping skills. So things like eating when you are experiencing stress, having a big dessert or something like that, rather than dealing with your problem. They aren't as able to kind of actively think through how they can deal with the stress in their life. Did you want to jump in? Yeah.
So I just want to pop in and say one thing about sleep is that we were in the self-advocate room yesterday. So for those of you whose loved ones were in that room, hopefully you heard a little bit about this. But we asked them all, like, do you guys sleep well? Like, how is your sleep? And they were all like, no. And we're like, how many people wake up feeling well rested in the morning? And nobody raised their hand.
Not one.
Not one.
Not one.
And they were all like, but we have to wake up at a certain time to go to school. And I'm like, I get that. It means you got to go to bed at a certain time. Right. So it's like Monica was saying, that there are some behaviors in addition to sleep apnea. The other thing is NDSS recently did a nationwide survey of about 300 people, and it was a mix of people with Down syndrome, caregivers of people with Down syndrome. And we asked about relationships. And one of the really fascinating things was watching how the relationships changed over time. So it was grouped into age groups. And 35 and above, friendships was not listed actually on the, and they were given the same options for all ages. But as people got older, the friendships faded away. And we didn't get the chance to ask why, right? And we didn't get a lot of those opportunities. But just looking at that is really eye-opening, because there's a lot, and Ruth can tell you more, there's a lot of research about the importance of friendships. And so we are about to tell a bunch of overworked parents some more things that they can do, and we get that. And apologize ahead of time, but it's really important, right? Like, as tired as we are driving our kids to like another activity, those activities are so important for them. I just want to add that. Sorry.
You're fine. Yeah, and so, Margot's been at National Down Syndrome Society and been involved a lot longer than I have. And she was there when they were trying to think about, like, what do we need for our health programming here at NDSS? And so they asked people with Down syndrome, they asked caregivers, parents like you, and Down syndrome affiliate groups. What do you need? And one of the things that kept coming up over and over again is, how do we support these health behaviors? How do we do a better job of doing this? And so that's really where this idea of coming up with a program came in. We heard from affiliate groups that were really passionate about offering more programming, but they didn't have the capacity to build out their own materials. And so this is where this has come from. And so let me introduce you to our 3-2-1-GO program. And so basically what 3-2-1-GO is a program to promote healthy lifestyle choices, the things that we've just talked about, for physical activity, balanced nutrition, and emotional wellness among individuals with Down syndrome and their families. And the program fosters independence by increasing, their knowledge of these 3 areas, encouraging goal setting, and building skills in those areas. And so, of course, pictured here is the front cover of the guide. And if you'd like to check out the guide, we have the guide at the table for NDSS, that you can flip through it. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what the program entails. The foundation of the program, as I mentioned, goal setting is a really big piece of this. And so setting some real tangible goals on how you can live a healthy lifestyle every single day of your life is a really good first step in this. So the first thing that we did was really outline these 3 goals. And we really love 3-2-1-GO, of course, with NDSS. And so we've kind of centered the goals around that. And the first goal is to complete at least 30 minutes of physical activity each day. We tried with the 3. You can't get away with 3 minutes of physical activity. So it's 30. Balanced nutrition, eat at least 2 servings of each food group every day. And then emotional wellness, practice at least 1 emotional wellness strategy each day. And we'll go over kind of what does that mean here in a moment. We also have a series of challenges, 21 challenges in total, 7 for each of those areas of wellness. And these are fun things, everything from try sparkling water with, some infusion of fruit to can you get 7,000 steps a day for a month? So a lot of different ones that, once you've gone through the guide and have gotten some practice on the daily goals, that you can try these additional challenges and keep making health fun. So for the physical activity section, we really focused on the national guidelines for physical activity, which is 150 minutes per week. So 30 minutes a day, we get actually a little bit over that, which is fantastic. And actually, it's, if you can see here on the slide, it's actually 2.5 to 5 hours a week that a person should do, of moderate to vigorous. So within that, we focus on what is physical activity. How hard should you be working? And you can see here, we do hear a lot with people with special needs that they're nervous about what it feels like to work hard in physical activity. Those body changes are very different. You feel your heart racing, you feel you can't talk when you're doing some of this exercise. So that's new to some people. So we do talk about the importance of that. And then we dive through, of course, the physical activity guideline is broad. And so it's everything from dancing to sports to exercise, but we do dive into some areas of exercise as well. And so we have some cards that I'll share here in a moment for each of those areas of of exercise. For the nutrition guidelines, we focus on the USDA MyPlate model. And so we've broken that down. We teach about each one of the food groups and why it's important and how much of each of those food groups you should you have. So we even show, like, how does that look like compared to your fist or your palm or things like that. So you have an idea of portion sizes. We do have some very specific, information on there. People are more likely to have celiac disease and things like that. So we do add some tips in there as to how you can continue to eat your food groups in those spaces. And we really talk a little bit about, there's a whole page on hydration, on added sugars, and even some tips for healthy weight. And then in the emotional wellness strategy, this is an area where our government has not quite gotten to a point of having national guidelines, but they do have something called the NIH Emotional Wellness Toolkit. And so we've pulled out some of the strategies that are within that. And so you can see here some of the areas that we cover are identifying your emotions and feelings, managing stress, thinking positive thoughts, connecting with others, that big relationship piece that we talked about earlier, and getting a good night of sleep. And we do that through, some different activities as well. So when we talk about managing stress, it's everything from encouraging the setting of goals and maintaining healthy habits to here's a breathing exercise that you can do. Similarly with sleep, we don't just say you need 7 to 9 hours. We also give here, let's set up a sleep routine, and here's what this looks like. And so this is the tracker for the goals that I mentioned earlier. And you can see it's nice and visual. It's easy to start tracking. And one of the things is when you start putting off these check marks on what did you do, this really helps you to kind of build that into your daily habits. As I mentioned earlier, we have a whole fitness kit. And so in addition to the guide that I shared, we also have this series of, I think it's like 64, actually, exercise cards. So you can see some picture here. It's really visual, all people with Down syndrome included in the card. So it's really fun to have that. And these are exercises that we're very intentional about thinking, can you do these things in your house? What's the difficulty level? What's the motor programming behind these? Really trying to make these something that people can pick up and just do. And then we do have 3 levels of difficulty in them as well. We also have minimal equipment needs for these, but we have a kit that's involved. So you can order this kit online. It includes an exercise ball, resistance band, jump rope, exercise towel, and a water bottle, and a nice little drawstring bag to keep everything together.
I would just add the cards come with a workout builder. So how to take the cards to make a workout out of them, which we did with your loved ones yesterday as well. So anybody whose child was with us yesterday morning, we went out in the field and did a workout that was based on this, and then sent them home with some sheets that we can share with you if your loved one was not with us. But yes, it tells you how to use the cards to do a workout.
The kit also gives you access to a Facebook group. So if you want a little bit more support, this is like a community that we have that works on the 3-2-1 Go challenges together. So we have like a monthly challenge with that. And we are just recently launching the 3-2-1 Go curriculum. We're piloting that with a couple of Down syndrome affiliate groups. And so this is an 8-week group program that teaches the main concepts of 3-2-1 Go through a series of activities, many of which, we included in the 4-hour workshop yesterday. It is not a 4-hour program. It is 90-minute sessions. And so every session you get to learn a little bit about physical activity, a little bit about nutrition, and a little bit about emotional wellness through things like an actual workout, a snack, a journaling activity, and things like that. And so this is right now being taught in a couple of, I think, about 4 pilots right now, and we're getting some really great feedback so far. And so it's also something that I should point out, when we built this curriculum, one thing we know, and all of this as well, is that caregiver support is so important to supporting healthy habits, building that from the time that they're young all the way until now, and kind of continuing, I even think about the relationship with my own mom, like how we talk about, oh, did you get in a workout this week, right? She's my like buddy on my watch. So all of that is really important in your families and talking about healthy habits. And so within this program, not only can you use these tools individually with your loved one with Down syndrome, but also if you were to take this program and have this, we build in a caregiver role. So we make this a partner program that you would take with them. And so I want to walk you through just a couple of ideas if you do, use the 3-2-1 Go program, how you can use those tools with your loved one with Down syndrome. So here's a family guide, and I should put these on the table. I forgot to do that this morning. We have these available. So if you wanted to kind of take this sheet to go, this is kind of a prompt for how you can support healthy habits at home. And so I'll go through these really quickly. The first one is just read the 3-2-1 Go program guide together and discuss what you learned. Sometimes you've probably said many of these things over and over again. We got to eat something healthy. Oh, come on, let's get some vegetables in our diet. Sometimes it's nice to have something there as a visual. Oh, this is a really cool program. Let's talk about it together. And then it doesn't feel as much like nagging, right? So then it's like, oh, let's see what this guide is all about. So you can kind of start with that. The next thing is tracking those goals and challenges together. That's helpful. You can kind of make it like a fun competition within the family. Hey, I got my physical activity goal today. Did you get yours? Hey, what strategy did you try for emotional wellness today? And having some conversations about that. That's another really great way to interact. The next one is using the 3-2-1-GO exercises and equipment together to do a workout. So this is one thing that we know happens a lot. Like, we know you get in this habit of, oh, let me take you to this program for swimming. But this is so important to have that role modeling, let's do it together. That really helps to build the habit specifically on physical activity. The next one is, once you flip through the guide, you'll see that there are plenty of actual activities and strategies that you can try at home. So there's kind of two that I highlighted here. One that's a little bit more on listening to your body, on how to make sure that you're not eating too much. And so thinking through those and kind of reminding your loved one through the day, hey, you remember that thing that we read in 3-2-1-GO? Let's try that. I was thinking about this myself. And so here, another one that we did, and we did this activity yesterday, was positive talk. So kind of reminding, hey, what are those 3 things that you picked that you like about yourself when it's a bad day or something, kind of pulling those back to life. Another one, just worth pointing out, which again, you all know this, but role modeling an active lifestyle and discussing how that fits with the 3-2-1-GO. So, I know it would be hard to say, hey, you got to get your exercise in, and then you're, sitting on the couch. So, as well as I do, role modeling is so important as it comes to and relates to a healthy lifestyle. So that's just another thing to kind of think through, and then talking about how that fits in with those 3-2-1 goals. Oh, I got my physical activity star today. And then again, as I mentioned, this program is brand new, so a lot of local groups don't know about it yet. So advocating for it and enrolling in the 3-2-1-GO program through any participating affiliate organization, that would be a great next step. And what I didn't mention is we also have another family resource called the Year of Family Health. And this is some additional little fun health challenges that align with the 3-2-1-GO program. And that is available on our resource page. And so that's it for us. So thank you so much for listening for the presentation. If you are interested, like I said, we have a guide out there so you can flip through. And then also, if you wanted to download some resources or purchase your kit, you can go to the website up here. And then if you have some questions, we can answer those now, or you can also contact us here.
Yeah, I would. I just also want to say thank you to Anna, because she was part of our advisory group that made the guide and made the program. But yes, if you have any questions, happy to take those. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the question was about finding a therapist who is, I guess, trained and comfortable treating adults with ID and Down syndrome. That is an awesome question for Anna and Ruth. I will give a little plug that Ruth is working with NDSS on creating a document about helping therapists who are interested in being more inclusive with their practice, but not sure how to be, to help them do that, right? Like, your son may be the first person with Down syndrome that they've had, but they're open and excited, and just giving them some information about how to do that. In terms of finding a therapist. Anna, yeah.
Really, your Down syndrome clinic, if you have one in your state, NDSS and local, they'll have a website that will show all the medical clinics. So that's always a good Down syndrome watching point, just knowing what might be in your area. Not every state has Down syndrome clinics. But every state does have a university center of excellence in developmental disabilities. So AUDD.org that website will get you to the USES, and that's gonna be, like one or multiple in every state. And that would be a good resource, because they're looking at more intellectual disability, but there's therapists, there's educators, there's policy advocates, so that's their goal is usually to help navigate families who live in disease, so that's a good, again, talk to people, people who then know people. So like for an adult therapist in my area, I'd be like, okay, you've got me, and I'll send you to the University of Cincinnati, health, and they now have these therapists, psychiatrists that can get you those supports, or it might be through your county board or regional board of developmental disability, which you might get those therapy resources, or for our Down Syndrome Association has now programming that has therapists who are kind of running the program, so they're doing that support that's not a billable service, but they're having the people who are training to be therapists, physical therapists, get their practice hours. So there's lots of creative ways that I think the team coming together, but it really is getting to know people and making those connections and then getting them to connect to the right area. So that would be.
Did everybody hear what she said? Okay, I'm not sure. There was a question in the back.
I just had a question. You had mentioned a pilot.
Yeah.
When you have an estimate on when the curriculum will be available?
Yeah, so we're still in the pilot. Like the idea is to pilot with a couple groups throughout the year. So if you are interested in piloting, or you want your DSA to be a pilot, call us, and I'll give you my email. Because it is available now if you want to be a pilot. Basically, for the pilot organizations, we are providing a lot of the resources for free and just asking them to give us a lot of feedback about what they think. The 8-week curriculum is meant to be really flexible because we understand that our country is very big and there are, different nuances depending on where you live. So it's meant to be a foundation with flexibility to change it if you want to change it. So we're just asking people, what changes did you make? Would love to suggest them to other groups. And the PowerPoint was made by Monica, which is beautiful, but when it's finished, we're going to have a designer just polish it up a little bit. But yes, if you're interested in doing it, or you want your local Down Syndrome Association to do it, call us. All right. So we started off talking about being healthy to be employed, but I also just want to say being employed is also really good for your health. It is good to have something to do. And I'm going to hand it over to Amanda, who is the runs the employment program at NDSS. But just want to say it's a circle, right? Where employment is really good for you. We just want to make sure that you are ready to go to your job from a health perspective.